All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Within Tolerance. This is episode 44, and I'm joined with Dylan, and it's just us today. But tomorrow we are filming or recording an episode with Jay Pearson once again. Jay and I were texting back and forth on Instagram, and we were talking pretty much everything about the UMC 500, and he offered to come back on and talk specifically about the UMC 500, and he even made a post on his Instagram. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. Comment any questions you have. We're trying to keep it specific to that machine and kind of, pretty much just that machine. And then I guess small 5-axis machines is a little bit more broad, but feel free to submit questions. We're going to be talking to him tomorrow. And that episode will probably go out like Friday because the normal episodes go out Wednesday. That's kind of what I was thinking. But yeah, he'll be on tomorrow and I'm really excited about that. So yeah, other than that, Dylan, what is up?
Nothing much, man. Just you know, trying to stay busy and making parts and all that fun stuff. I guess nothing really super big has happened. I've done a few like friend projects the last weekend and week, which has been a lot of fun. I posted one of them, and uh, I think I might have sent you a video of the other one. But I had a friend who his mountain bike company. He's like a big mountain biker and does downhill and all that stuff. And he's got a cross country bike that the company pulled out of the U.S. and they're French, and so he couldn't find an axle nut anymore, and he had never seen the shop. And we've been friends for years, so I was like, "Oh, come on down, and I'll show you what I do, and we can make a axle nut together." And so I did that on Sunday for half the day, and then another buddy of mine, he's in town. He has this Bluetooth uh, helmet Bluetooth system called from a company called Senna, and his brand new dog ate the jog dial off of it. And when he contacted them for a replacement, it's probably a 30-cent molded plastic part. They were like, "Oh, sorry, we don't sell that. You have to buy a new unit." And they're like, $300 a piece or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll talk to my friend. And he messaged me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I've got my printer. I can print something up." And I printed 2 or 3 that night just to play around and see if I could get it close. And I just couldn't get one that fit well and looked good. And I looked at the part and I was like, it could be fun to machine. So I took, I don't know, maybe an hour, hour and a half the other night, and uh, machined it up, did a real nice radial step over with a 16th inch ball just to make it look fancy. And I don't know, I feel like as stressed as I get, and as like, I get so wrapped up in customer work that there's a lot of times where I just need to take a step back and do something as like a fun project to grow my skills and play around with the machine and just enjoy machining versus being all stressed about getting customer stuff done on time. And so
Yeah, it's nice knowing that there's not really a deadline.
yeah, exactly. And it was my own design. It was whatever I wanted to do as far as tolerances. I had to make it fit. Then that was pretty much it. And it was just I enjoy doing those things from time to time. Like it pulls me back out of the whole business side of things and being a business owner. And it's like, oh yeah, this is why I love machining, is because I can do something like that where this part didn't exist, or like it existed only as a cast plastic piece hours before, and then now it's billet, and I think it looked great. I was super excited with how it came out, and he was really thrilled. So
Yeah, it looked
um,
really cool. Like you said, with that little step over. What was that? Like not a spiral, but
a
what toolpath
radial,
was that? Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it came out great, and it was just a lot of fun. Like it didn't take a whole bunch of time. I knew it wasn't going to. He didn't ask me to do it or anything. It was just like, well, I'm not super thrilled with the 3D print ones. Screw it, let me just do this. And so yeah, it was a ton of fun. And besides that, I've just been keeping busy. We've got a bunch, not a bunch of customer work, but we've definitely slowed down a little bit. But we've got enough to keep us busy right now. So I've got one order that's pending that I'm just wrapping up in the next day or so, and then I've got another new customer that I'm working on their parts that are kind of tight tolerance, and he's pretty meticulous. So I've got those parts to work over the next week or so, and little odds and ends here and there. So yeah, we're staying busy, and I'm trying to do as much maintenance and things like that as I can. I think either this weekend or next week, I'm going to be pulling apart our entire material shelves and replacing it with one of those bigger Costco shelving units.
Yep.
We've already got it at the shop. We just I need to cut some wood boards to go down because they come with like a fairly wide like mesh that goes down for the shelves, or like a grate,
Yep.
and tiny pieces of of aluminum or something are just going to fall right through that. So I want to put down some wood pieces, and then I'm thinking about bolting or screwing some vertical pieces to kind of divide it up, and actually on my aluminum shelf have quarter-inch thick, 3/8, five, or half inch, 1 inch, all that stuff. And that way, when I'm going to find a few pieces for either a friend job like I just did last night, or a prototype run, I can. I'm not just like sorting through a whole heap of random stuff. So it shouldn't take us a whole bunch of time. It'll just make things in that corner look so much better. Every time I show it on like Instagram or something like that, I'm like, oh man, I'm so embarrassed by the way this looks.
Got to pan over it quick.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I showed a picture of it for the first Machinist Therapy Hotline challenge, and I was just like, "Yep, it is what it is. It's real shitty. Sorry." Like,
Yep.
so yeah, staying busy. Things are going well. The brother is fantastic. Like, the more I use it, the more I fall in love with it, and just probing and tool setting and running. Like, I definitely, there's times like running that knob. I was like, man, I wish I had a 16K spindle for this, but then I run, stainless or something, and I'm like, oh no, I'm glad I have the high torque spindle. Like,
Yeah.
and I just told you off air, we've got some possible titanium work coming in, and so for that, I'm glad I have the high torque and all that. So it's time and time again, it just proves like, yep, this was the right decision. So yeah, things are
What
going well.
about the subplate? What's the update on that?
Oh, that's the other part I need to make this week, or either this week or this weekend. So I was going to make it. We were going to put it on this weekend, but then we got that new order in, and I'm focusing on that more than I am the subplate, just because I'd really like to kind of knock this order out of the ballpark and really show this customer what we can do. So if I can fit in making the tool setter standoff this weekend while I'm doing that, then I will. But if not, I'll wait until next weekend when I'm done with this order and can really focus on it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I still need to send my vices back to Eric to get them lasered. So maybe I'll do that this weekend and then worry about that next weekend and just not worry about it this week.
Yeah. I'm waiting. I need to check tracking, but I'm waiting on. I ordered some jaws and then a pallet from him. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm super looking forward to you tearing into one of those pallets. I know
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I need to get one or two just to have on the shelf for my Delta system, because it would be nice to not have to like have that kind of planning time. Like if I have a hot job that comes in that's 100 parts, I could be like, oh, I'll just throw on some Talon grips or something and hit it real quick and knock it out of the park. So I might end up doing that. We'll see.
Yeah, it'd be nice to just keep stuff like that on hand.
Yeah. And then to update from the last episode, we were talking together. I did get those downcut end mills. I'm going to actually be putting them to the test tonight or tomorrow on those electronics housings that I was having trouble with. They look great though, so I'm excited for that.
That's good. Add that to your arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. And next time I have any vacuum work too, it'll be a big help, because I've definitely had some. I haven't had anything pull up on me really bad yet. Like, I've definitely poked holes, but nothing that's like shot across or broken or anything like that, thankfully.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Otherwise, I don't think the last like week and a half. I don't know. It's just felt like not like I don't know, just like I'm in a holding pattern. Like I'm just kind of waiting to see what shakes out. And I think
Yeah.
like a lot of my customers are too. Like I've touched base with a lot of them, and they're like, "Oh, thanks for letting us know," and yada yada yada. And like a few of them are still have projects that are in the still in motion, but for the most part, it seems like everybody's just kind of holding their breath. So we'll see over the next month and see what goes on.
Yeah. After you talking about your Speedio a couple minutes ago, it made me think. It felt like yesterday that you were messaging me privately and you were like, I might be getting a new machine.
I was actually just thinking about that the other day. I was like, oh yeah, I remember like, what was it, November, early November. I was like, I don't know, but I might be getting a new machine. I still haven't figured out if I want to do it yet. And yeah, it's. I was just talking to actually that friend with the jog dial. So he doesn't live in Tucson. He's just here visiting his parents and stuff. And I was telling him like, it was a big step and like it's still a little nerve wracking, but like I don't think that there's any way I could have grown my business as fast as we have without it. And like I
Yeah,
wouldn't
can
have
you
the
imagine
confidence.
not having that right now?
No, 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 no. Like our setup times and like my optimization of the time I have in the shop is so much more. Like I never in my wildest dream could have turned out two prototype parts in under 2 hours each. Like with almost no setup. Like I think both of them I had to set one tool, and I did it while I was loading the program and other things. So yeah, it's insane. Like I feel like somebody asked that actually on Jay's thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow. But they were, saying like, how do you deal? I think it might have bbeen Drew actually that he was saying like, how do you deal with the stress of buying your first machine and stuff like that?
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
it. You just got to like it. If you have the work, you just got to do it. Like that, you can only do so much planning for the future. And I'm not saying like be frivolous or reckless, but like if you have consistently grown X amount over the last couple years and you have good relationships with your clients and you can, fight price wise with other shops, like do it. Like you will only reap the benefits, it seems like. Granted, I'm glad that we had a few months of being able to really hit it hard with this machine and make money before all of this unraveled. Like if we had done this at the beginning of March, it would have scared the crap out of me. But um, it still like it's so good. Like at any time that I bid work, like I had a customer recently that we were bidding work and they were like, well, is there any way you can drop it like this much to this much per part? And like on the kitty, these are fairly tight tolerance parts and there's a fair amount of them that I would have had to monitor and stuff. And I would have had to been like, no, that's as low as I can go. But I went and I rough programmed part of them and I was like, oh, actually I can drop, 2 minutes here and a minute there. And I ended up getting to their target price, no problem. So, yeah, it's awesome. It really is.
Yeah, and I was talking to Drew and we were talking about that and like you said, we'll talk about this tomorrow, but you know, in his case, I know he has more of his product line that he talked about when we had him on. And, for him, I was telling him, it's like you have the products, like you have the market, like that's the last step is to have the capacity. And that's what you're looking into. So, like, go for it.
Yeah, yeah, and it really seems like he's got really strong products for his market segment, and so I think
Yeah.
that I truly think he'll do fantastic with a newer machine for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't believe what he's doing with his current machine. I mean,
I
talking to him
know.
about some of his contract parts too, and it's like, man, I can't complain about anything anymore.
Yeah, seriously.
um, so anyway, what's going on with you? Last we talked, you were busy molding shields like crazy and staying busy. What's going on in your world?
Yeah, so I've molded a couple thousand of those and I'm still need to go through. I have another 60 pounds of plastic or so to mold. Um, and I just got to do that. I'll probably do that tomorrow. But what I've been working on is a lot of like molding quotes, like making molds for companies and like molding parts. Like I just quoted this one job that was like two different parts and they wanted like 25,000 of each. And it was just like, it's a weird new, like, I don't know why all of a sudden there's all this like injection molding stuff happening, at least for me, but it's kind of cool because after making this face shield frame mold, I've learned a lot like, okay, for a part this size, this is how much materials are, this is how long it took. And then I can kind of take that and just quote these other parts, which has been helpful.
Totally, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really, and I don't think we talked about this because yeah, I don't think we have because our last episode was a guest. But on my machine, my boy, I replaced all the major seals, um, and now it looks like there's zero oil leaks, which is amazing.
That's
Um,
awesome. Is the
and
water system working now?
yeah, then about that, so I got that working. Basically, what I did was I disconnected pretty much everything. I shortened some hoses because some of them were just way too long, and then I wrapped up. One of them was like just kind of like a garden hose, and I wrapped that up and zip tied it in a nice coil and hung it up so the connection wasn't kind of kinking. Um, and then I got the water pump working. Everything I just got working, and now I can run that machine pretty much as long as I want. The only downside is about every hour to every hour and a half, the water goes from like room temperature of about like 75 77 degrees up to like 94 95. So it's not hot, but it's warm. um, and what I've been doing is I've been taking the hose of the pump that's the return, and I've just been taking that out of the 55-gallon barrel, putting it in 5-gallon buckets, and I've just been emptying like, I don't know, 25 gallons of water. I just go put it on the grass, and then I take the garden hose and fill it back up with really cold water. Um, and that basically resets the temperature of the whole thing of water.
What what temperature will it air out at?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, you haven't gotten there yet.
No, and that might be a good test to do, is just to keep running it. Maybe it'll just stay stable. Um,
Is it
but
under high pressure, the water?
the water, nah, not really high. No.
Because you could just run it through like an oil cooler too. I bet that would work. Heat.
Yeah, I need to look into. There's water chillers. I've looked into. People have been telling me about like radiators, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. I mean, you could deal with like a car oil cooler or radiator with a fan and just
exactly.
have that thing kick on. And I mean, I'm sure that would do wonders for your temperature. I mean, if it's only raising 20 degrees over hours of molding, that's really not that bad.
No, and I really should test how long it'll. Because basically, when it gets to that point, the oil temperature of the machine, the hydraulic oil, it stabilizes at like 100 to 110. And if it gets above like 125, it airs out. So it's like it's warm, but from what I've been told, hydraulic oil doesn't like to be hot, hence the overheating, but it doesn't like to be cold.
Right. Yeah, because then it gets viscous and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
if it stabilizes at around that, I wouldn't imagine your water would get
much
hotter than
hotter.
that. Yeah, especially if it's like circulating. Like if it was just a water jacket and was just sitting there, it might heat soak and get hotter. But if it's constantly circulating, my guess is that the whole system will stay pretty stable at around that temperature, depending on what kind of barrel or whatever your water is sitting in.
Yeah, it's just a plastic 55-gallon drum.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it might just be worth looking into a radiator, even without a fan or anything like that. Just having it go through something like that with all that surface area would bleed a lot of heat out of the system too.
Yeah, but I mean, the way I look at it, at least for now, I mean, I ran for probably close to 8 hours, and normally I was maxed at like 2 or 3, and I was like, this is awesome. Like the machine was just crunching out parts every like 30 seconds, and I'm just like doing other things, and I was like, this is awesome. And that it gave me a lot of confidence, not only in, like I've said, tearing apart the machine and learning about it. And you know after I did these seals, how we talked earlier, it was exactly like I thought. Once I did it, now I look at the machine, I'm like, this isn't that complicated. Like, it was really pretty straightforward.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it didn't look like it was that much of a deal, but I had never taken one apart, so I wasn't going to be like, "Oh, go for it," and then have you get squirted with a whole bunch of hydraulic oil or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
looking at it, it doesn't look like it's all that complex of a machine. It's just specific.
Yeah. Just knowing your way around it. And, the only thing that I think it was, didn't, I don't know if this is my fault or Boy's fault, but I specifically told them, I'm like, I'm replacing these seals, and they didn't send me those originally. So I had to overnight those. But luckily, I was able to get them on a Saturday, which was kind of nice.
Oh, that's
Um,
great. Yeah.
so this was like a week or two ago, but it was just nice to be able to keep rolling because I got the whole thing apart and I was all excited. And then I realized, I go to my box that I got from them of seals, and I'm like, there's no red ones. Where are the red ones?
Oh. That's terrible. Well, I'm glad it's
But
all back together though. That's awesome.
yeah, I'm really liking that machine. I'm learning a lot about it, so I'm really getting more injection molded quotes or RFQs and stuff. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really really good.
Yeah.
Uh, What else is going on?
Trying to think. Well, I told you and I showed you that cool Harvey key seat cutter I got. That's for two jobs, and I've never had to tell customers that like I can't do your work right this second. Like normally I'm just on it, but like lately I've been getting a bunch and it's like, okay, now there's a line. Like you're like 2 weeks out and I can start working on it. And luckily everyone's been okay with that, but it's just kind of weird saying that.
Yeah, well, I mean, most established shops out there are like, from what I've seen, like 4 or 5 weeks lead time, if not further. So, a few weeks is usually pretty quick turnaround for a lot of these places.
Yeah, that's true. But it was nice because, I was telling you, Harvey's customer service was awesome. A guy helped me find this key seat cutter that works for both parts and um, stayed on the phone with me and got me part numbers, all that good stuff, and just really awesome customer support there. So I have no problem paying the price for their tools. They're not cheap, but I mean, I'm looking at the tool now. It looks really nice and super sharp. So I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. I think they've got a heap ton of information online too, and then anything else that you're missing is, just a phone call away. They also put on some really this last week. They put on two webinars. One that was with Fusion and Fifth Axis, and then one on their own about cutter geometry and like their national applications engineer went through like all the different angles on a tool and a drill and what they mean and different signs of tool wear and what those causes could be. And some of it was a refresher for me, but it was still a really good. It was well thought out and well presented. It's on their YouTube channel if anybody wants to watch it.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, they're great. I actually just, in addition to those downcut end mills, I got a back deburring tool from them and a deburring lollipop end mill.
Okay.
So instead of like the normal flutes that you would have on a lollipop, it's like got 15 flutes or something like that. Like it looks like a carbide burr,
Huh.
and it's just a break edges. So I've got
Okay.
a curved surface that I'm going to be breaking inside of the curved surface, kind of in the vertical. And I saw that and I was like, I could get a normal lollipop, but then they talk about how much better these are for deburring operations, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. Forget it. Why not?
I've never used one of those, but seems like they're becoming pretty popular. Like more people are starting to use them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on like an undercut or something like that, it's impossible to get to it in a three-axis mill without another setup or without a tool like that. So I've had a few parts where I've had to use just normal lollipop tools to surface the underside of something, and
Yeah.
it works really well. I've never had an issue with it.
Yeah. When you get those, post a picture.
Yeah, yeah, I'll post one on my stories tonight, and I'll tag you in
Okay.
it. I just got them today, so I'll send them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think what else is new. Um, yeah, it's weird. The whole Lego side of things is not slowing down at all,
Really?
which I'm not complaining about, but it's just I would expect it to, but it's not. And like it's to the point where it's almost like, well, shoot, what should I like focus on here? Because at first it was like machining's kind of taken off, but now it's like balanced out again, and it's like I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this before, but like your parts or your product is cheap enough that even in times of like financial stress like this, it's like well, oh, I can afford a $5 thing that like you know do my retail therapy, but then also not break the bank.
Your retail therapy.
And so like I feel like a lot of people, and especially because a lot of people are home and probably getting to play with their Legos and come up with new scenes or whatever that it seems like a lot of your customers do. I'm sure that they're like, oh, now I need this and this and this, and like I want to get it done now while I'm home, and so it makes sense. But that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, so keep chugging along on that. But other than that, I don't know. Like you were trying to say, it's kind of been weird recently. Like the weeks seem to be, I don't know, going back really fast, but just, I mean, work's still there, but it's just everything seems weird.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I'm getting anything done.
Yeah,
Like I am, but looking back on it, yeah, the weeks just fly by, and then I look back and I'm like, what do I have to look back on this week? Well, nothing really. It's just more of the same.
yeah, seriously, it's weird.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm glad we have the podcast still going. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying getting time in the shop, which is always good. Um, but yeah, it's just strange. Definitely.
I guess. Should we go into some of these questions?
Yeah, we've got quite a few this time. So let's start on first on the one. I think this one came from the Discord, but Fort Manufacturing is also on Instagram. And he wanted us to talk about how we handle tool inventory, and then also you specifically how you handle part inventory, because he's starting to track his products and he's kind of struggling. And it seems like you've got quite a few of SKUs, so I'm sure you've got some good wisdom there.
I guess we can start with tool inventory. I don't really have a good system, and I don't know if this is something I need to think more about, but I just kind of have my drawer with ball mills and end mills, and I kind of know in my head what I have.
Yep, I'm probably unfortunately the same way. I've got my drawers of drills and end mills, and as I notice things are wearing or I'm running low, I go ahead and order more. And like
Yeah.
I have a whiteboard near our computer that we can write down things that we need. So if Brad or I see that we're running low on eighth inch end mills, we'll say buy eighth inch end mills. Um, oh, actually, speaking of which, that does remind me of a story last weekend that I still have yet to figure out. So we were running those throttle cams, and they're 70-75, and I ran 30 parts with one eighth inch tool and zero issues. And then I came in a day and a half later and started running them again and broke an eighth inch end mill like 5 parts in. And then I put another one in and broke it 5 parts in. And then I checked the tool or the collet and the holder, and the collet looked like it was kind of cut not on center. Like the slits were kind of wonky.
Huh.
And so I was like, all right, maybe it was that. And so I put in a new tool with a new collet or a newer collet, indicated the eighth inch end mill, and it was within 2/10. Like, and it's a half-inch length of cut. So like 2/10 at the end is really good. And I ran it, broke another one at 5 parts. I was like, what the heck? And like I checked my tool paths, I changed it so I was moving slower into the corners because it's picking out some corners. I added an adaptive before it, and then finally I went to my last eighth inch end mill, and with all of those things, I was able to make it through the remaining 20 parts or something like
I
that.
was about
But
to say the remaining five.
it was the most frustrating thing. Like I hate issues, but I hate them doubly as much when I can't find the method of failure. And like I thought it was all these little things, and it wasn't. And I just have no idea. I don't know if it was. I mean, it clearly wasn't the tool holder because those checked out when I indicated it. It wasn't the tool, I don't think, because they were all brand new end mills. But I ended up ordering a new SK collet, an eighth inch SK collet, and a bunch of new eighth inch tools, or 3 or 4 new eighth inch end mills, just because I couldn't figure it out. And like I didn't have any other issues with it. But it was bizarre. It was absolutely bizarre, and it frustrated me to no end.
The
I
fact
like
that it's 5 parts each time makes it really annoying.
Well, it wasn't like exactly 5. It was like maybe
Okay.
5 or 6. I will say that that is one thing that I love about having a tool setter is like I had tool breakage detection on all of my roughers, but not on any of the finishers. And so I just added it after the eighth inch end mill, so I wasn't like wasting another 5 or 6 minutes of because it was running op one and op two at the same time.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'm not going to waste all that time when I need to reload a tool and rerun that tool path. And so I ended up just adding tool breakage detection, and it caught the last one that broke. And I was like, well, at least I know it works. It
Yeah.
goes and tries to probe a tool, and then it errors out and says tool breakage error. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, it was so frustrating. Like it made zero sense because that one tool, I had not used it in any other operation between the time that it made 25 parts and the time that it made like two or three and broke.
Was
And
the tool potentially pulling out or pushing in, or?
I don't think so because it was I mean, it's not. It wasn't taking that much. It was taking 3 or 4 thou on most sides, and then it was diving into one 90-degree corner that had already been picked out with a 3/16. So it really wasn't that much in there at all. I don't know. I still haven't figured it out. I walked through the simulation a bunch of times. Like I said, I added an adaptive with the 1/8 inch tool to pick out the corners beforehand. Maybe that was what fixed it. Maybe I just overloaded it going into the corners, but I don't understand why it made it through so many parts before it became an issue.
Yeah,
And it's never
that's
been an
just
issue in the
weird.
past either. Like I've run this; these parts have been running for 4 years or 3 years, and they've never been an issue before. I don't know if like I don't know how much the temper can vary on 7075, but all I could think is like I know that the run that I did was two different lots. Like one I had ordered months ago and one I had just ordered. So maybe there was a slight different temper. I really don't know. I don't even know why I'm bringing up, I guess, because I don't have any answer. There's no lessons learned. It's just like,
Be aware.
yeah, it's just so frustrating. Maybe if somebody will chime in and DM us or something and say, hey, I've had similar things and check this. But yeah, tool run out was good. The tool holder's a brand new SK10. I've had it like 2 months. Pull stud's brand new. I checked the pull stud. I checked the taper. I checked the inside the machine taper. I checked run out. Checked the tool path. It's just weird.
What brand
Absolutely.
tool was it?
Destiny.
Okay.
So it was a good end mill too. I mean, it's the one we've been running forever, and that 1/8 inch in there has been in there for like 6 months. Like the first one, like it had been
Yeah.
cutting a ton of different parts. So I don't know. It was bizarre. It was absolutely bizarre. But yeah, I don't know. I raised my coolant concentration too because it was a little low. I mean, it wasn't out of the range of cutability, but it was a little low. So all I can think is that it was material related.
Yeah, that's really weird. It's funny you say that because I just ordered a bunch of half-inch length to cut 1/8 inch tools.
Yeah, I usually have no problem with them. So I don't know. We'll see if it comes back. The parts that I'm just about to work on are also 7075. So
Okay.
I'll be cutting it that more, and I don't. I think I've got a few things that I need to cut with an 1/8 inch end mill actually. So we shall see.
Yeah, the saga continues.
Yeah, I'll definitely update everybody in 2 weeks if anything happens with it. I'll be done with that order by then, and we'll kind of see. But what about product tracking? How do you do inventory tracking?
Honestly, just really through Shopify, I tried to look into there's actually some different add-on apps that I was looking into recently that when a product got to let's say I make 100 of one item and then it gets down to an inventory level of like 10, or I could set that number, and there's these apps cuz I was like it'd be really nice if it gets down to 10 or 20 and then it emails me and it's like, "Hey, this figure or this gun is low. Maybe you should start making more." Um, Unfortunately, Shopify, there's nothing in the actual Shopify that you can do that, like as just a default plugin. But there's these apps that are like, I don't know, $10 a month or something, and I haven't caved in and bought that yet. But I don't know. I think that'd be really nice because right now it's just kind of like I'll every now and then I'll check my site. There's a tab that's like under products and then inventory, and you can see like what's at zero and just go through there, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't know that was out of stock forever. Like that's a good seller. Like why that shouldn't be out of stock, and it is, and it's just because I don't pay close enough attention to it. So
Also, it can't email you limits or anything like that.
no, that's what those apps and those paid plugins are for.
Oh, that's such BS.
Yeah, I thought that'd be such an easy thing.
It is an easy thing. They're just like, oh, well, we can make more money with this.
Well, it's not even Shopify because these other app companies, unless they're bought out by Shopify, I wouldn't be surprised if they are.
Well, if they aren't, I'm betting you that they have a beneficial partnership with Shopify. Like
Yeah.
Shopify is making some on the back end of that $10. Like even if it's only $1 a month out of every single person that buys inventory tracking, that's tens of thousands of dollars a month. So
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that might be something I can, if anyone listening knows, like, I don't know what the proper website coding stuff is, or maybe like an Upwork post or something.
yeah. So to answer your question for manufacturing, we're terrible at both of those things. So
Yeah,
don't look
pretty
to
much.
us. Yeah, I really wish that I had a better answer. I think that an ERP system is definitely going to be in my future. Probably when I go full time at the shop is when I'm going to want something like that. But for now, yeah, it's just I've got everything laid out in sheller bins. I can see everything. I use everything fairly often. Like if it's not something I use fairly often, I'm probably going to have to special order it anyway. So it is what it is. It's not definitely not the best system, but it works for us right now because we're small.
Yeah. Now you really got me thinking about how I could be better about inventory.
I mean, yeah, it's so dumb that like they can't because they know your inventory. Like literally, all it is one piece of code that's like when this number gets below this number, ping this
Yeah.
email or phone or something like that. That's the frustrating part. I wonder if you could you end up spending if it's that cheap, like $10 a month, you're going to end up spending more than that coming up with a solution for yourself, if
You
that makes sense.
think?
Well, like if you went on Upwork and wanted somebody to like link a Google Sheets with your Shopify inventory levels and then ping you, you're probably going to spend $200 anyway.
Yeah.
And that's like almost 2 years of just paying for it. And like if it helps you sell more, it might just be worth it, I guess. And from what I've seen out there, there's not much better than Shopify as far as like the full shopping cart integration and all of that. So it's not like you can switch to something that might be a little more full featured because I mean, granted, I don't have my own product, so I haven't really done a whole deep dive on it. But from the little I've done, it seems like Shopify is kind of it when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I definitely hate adding monthly bills for anything,
I
but
do too.
when it's that cheap, it might just be worth your time just to have it as an add-on and ping you, and that way you can just know what to manufacture next.
Yeah, I'll look into it for sure. And then I got one of those metal shelves, pretty small one coming in. I talked about this on my um, Lego Instagram, and basically it'll help me just pack orders way faster because a lot of my products are in these like Plano fishing tackle bins. And every time I need something, I have to shuffle them around, open up the lids, grab it, close the lid, shuffle it around, find the next thing. But with these shelves, I'm going to put all these bins out, take the lids off, never have to open them again. And I can just go, pick, 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 grab everything done.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, that's like what lean is all about. Save
Yeah.
yourself that one reach that you do 500 times a year or whatever. So
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's just like I was literally thinking about that. I like have my little inventory closet, and I'm just like, how can I make this more efficient? And I looked at those bins, and I'm just like, this needs to be fixed.
yeah, totally. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing the post on that. Oh, speaking of your Lego channel, well, I guess the anti Lego channel. I don't think you've mentioned on here that you did a YouTube video, or did you mention that 2 weeks ago?
I think I did, but I'll mention it again. So if you
Yeah,
look
plug it
up
for sure.
Yeah, if you look up on YouTube BrickTactical, you'll find a channel. It's got like almost, I don't know, a couple hundred subscribers. Basically, I'm starting to post more on there because I did a whole video series on building this injection mold, and I'm slowly editing the videos and posting them. I just posted another one actually. There's two out now. There's one on cutting ejector pins, and then there's one on making these riser blocks. And so far, it's pretty cool to do something different from Lego YouTube wise. And I mean, I'm getting some comments and not crazy amounts of views, but it's cool because a lot of the people that comment, I recognize their names and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you mentioned it here. I vaguely recall that you did last time we spoke, but I just wanted to make sure that you did again. So,
Yeah, good catch.
um, well, should we jump into Andy's questions?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So, Andy Clark, he is HH Clark on Instagram. If you guys don't follow him, go check him out. He's a longtime listener of the podcast, and we were chatting the other night. And he was like, "Oh, I'd really like to know more about your guys' stories." And I was like, "I feel like we kind of told everything. Like we're both young and don't really have that much of a story." And he was like, "I'll come up with a list." And so he sent us a list. I feel like a few of these are going to be kind of rapid fire, quick answers, not really much explanation needed. But hopefully you guys enjoy it. I think we'll definitely enjoy kind of somewhat off topic questions. And yeah, so let's jump through it. Do you want to just trade off reading them and then we'll answer them?
Yeah, sure. Let's stumble over each other.
All right. So the first question was to both of us, and it was, "What games are you currently playing on your phones?"
None.
I go back and forth. Like occasionally, I'll see an ad for one, and I'll download it for 30 minutes, and then I'll be like, "All right, that was enough of that." I think the only game that's ever lived on my phone permanently is 2048.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and so like that one I'll play when I'm wanting to give my brain some downtime and like, but still not do something just dumb. Yeah, I'm not playing Pokemon Go at my shop, so
Catching all the Pikachus in the Speedio.
yeah, exactly. So, all right, I
All
think
right,
that's
next one to both of us, iPhone or Android? I have an iPhone,
I have an Android.
of course.
All right, next one was to you, and it was, "After using the Boy, are you considering trading your manual machine in for another automatic?"
No, because I've got probably 40 molds that are specifically for the quote manual machine, and it's just great for small runs and quick prototypes. It's just a great machine to have, and it's paid itself probably 20 times over already. So
So, follow up to that, then, though, are you thinking about buying another automatic molding machine eventually?
event down the line, yes, and it'd definitely be a bigger one. Hopefully a robo shot.
Okay, sounds
So
good.
and then let's see, this one's for me as well. What is your first buy, probing or an air turbine? That's a great question
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, man, that hits the nail on the head right
because
there.
they're both the same price.
Are they? Oh yeah, I guess they are. Yeah.
um, I
I guess
feel
it
like
depends on what makes you more money, right? Because
yeah,
if
and
you're
I
doing
feel
more
like
job shop work, the probing is definitely going to make you more money. But if you're doing more molding, the air turbine is definitely going to make you more money.
probing because it could go with both. It could just, it's more universal with everything.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
And especially if I'm running my molds at night, like I have been, it's like I don't care if it's 15 hours. I'll just do that while I'm sleeping. Like, so I'd say probing. Yeah.
So follow up question: You buy probing yet?
Oh my
All
god. I was
right.
talking with no. I was talking with I think it was Drew about his potential upgrade. I don't want to give anything away for him, but we were talking financing, and I sent him like a screenshot or something, or he made a joke. He's like, "Does this new machine come with probing?" I was like, "This machine comes standard with probing," and then he's like, "Ooh, I think I know what it is."
Oh, that's fantastic.
So
All right. Next question was for both of us, and it was our favorite guest, which
that's a
I feel like
messed
is
up
like
question.
picking between your children or something. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know that I've had a favorite guest, but I've got like favorite moments, I guess, that I can talk about podcasts.
Yeah, I got a couple of those.
There's sound bites that we've been wanting to pull. Maybe we'll just save that and we'll pull those sound bites and we'll play it. We'll
Be like, guess what happened in this one?
yeah, because I think that we could pull together a few of our favorite sound bites that we've both stayed on air after we recorded and talked about and laughed about. So we'll do that, and we'll keep that as a secret until we unveil that mashup.
Yeah, but I mean, with every guest, I've learned something completely new, and it's just that's why I think it's so cool because it's like we've had on a handful of guests that talk about work holding. That's what their companies are, like Jay or Eric, and then there's people that talk about just generic job shop stuff, and then there's more specific people like Danny that's all Swiss automation, which is opposite ends of some of the spectrum. So it's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. Even like the ones where going into it, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun, but like I don't know what I'm gonna learn. Like
Exactly.
Drew was a prime example of that. I was like, oh well, like I know he's got some cool stuff at work, and I'm sure I'll learn something. And I wanted to talk to him about his business, but then like I learned more about metal additive manufacturing than I ever thought I would. Like he, whether he wants to admit it or not, like he's such a subject matter expert at that because he uses it so much, and so like that was so cool. And it's the little things like that that surprise you that I think are some of my favorite bits of episodes. But I don't know that I have a favorite. Like everybody's just been super fun. Nobody like everybody's been so happy to come on, and we've been so happy to have them that it feels like taking a few friends out to a bar and like sitting get down and getting to just chat and learn about who they are. So
Yeah, it's like they're all meant to be. Like no one stood out and been like, "Oh shoot, like what are we doing?"
right, exactly. Yeah, it's fantastic. I appreciate every one of our guests for different reasons.
Yeah, I agree. And then we got the next one is for both of us. After listening to guests talk about their shops, have you ever started doing anything at your shops after what you've learned from them?
Um, I feel like I've started organizing my shop a little better, like talking to all these people that kind of have their poop in a group. Like they've got it together, and I've been starting to implement more processes. So like whether it's written or it's just like this is how I do something every time, and I talk to Brad about it, and it's like this is how we're going to do it from now on. Like this is our new procedure. Because I feel like everybody that we've talked to is very specific, or most people that we've talked to are very specific in what they do. But a common theme on all of these successful shops is like that everybody is very deliberate in what they do and very deliberate about how they go about that.
Yes, yeah.
But I can't pinpoint anything specifically. But I mean, yeah, it's really just like learning how to be a better business owner. I feel like is one big lesson that I keep getting.
Yeah. And there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, totally. So this one was for me, and it was after buying my first new machine. Would I do anything different as far as the options? Yes. So the two options that didn't come on my machine that I should have added was a washdown gun and a spindle override knob, which are both options on the Brothers.
Really?
Yeah, the Brother control side is super pared down because it was initially a high production, automotive plant kind of thing. And so like they don't come with an MPG standard, they don't come with a spindle override standard. And they're both like fairly expensive options. So if I had gotten them rolled into our discount, I feel like it would have been a better idea to do it. And at this point, I kind of wish I had just negotiated for a better deal and gotten a fourth.
Okay.
Um, but at the time, like we were so hesitant about spending more money that it is what it is. And like the washdown I'll add later. There's ways to add the spindle override knob that aren't super expensive, but we'll see. The washdown, I'm definitely going to just come up with my own solution because I'm not paying $600 for a washdown.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean there are a few options there are tried and true methods to do it yourself that I'm not worried about. TSC was one of them. Washdown is one of them. Spindle override knob. There is a way to do it. It requires like buying the knob from Japan or China and then soldering on the connectors and then you can get the knob to somewhere else. That one I might end up just doing through Yamazin. It's like $1,200, which is a bear to kind of stomach, but I
Do
don't know.
it.
We'll see.
Don't think about it.
Yeah. So far, we haven't needed it. Like, I haven't had chatter bad enough. Well, there was one part that we were doing sketchy stuff on for a neighbor that, like, chattered a whole bunch, but I don't think the spindle override knob would have helped us at all. It was just like sticking an end mill out way too far and going too deep in steel, and it was a pain in the ass. So yeah, wish I'd gotten the spindle override knob. I wish I'd gotten the washdown. Happy I didn't waste my money on TSC.
Fair enough. All right, next one's for you, and it is: do you wear the green gloves at your day job?
It's so funny that I've gotten like so many comments and people talking about the green gloves. I didn't think that they were iconic at all. It was just like, oh, these are mechanics gloves. They're like fairly thick, good enough. Let's order 100 of them from Amazon. And of course, now I can't get any gloves from Amazon, which sucks because I'm almost out. But
Uh-oh.
I don't wear the green gloves at my day job. We order, I can't remember the brand, but it's black and they're all right. Um, I go back and forth. Like Brad really doesn't like the green ones because they are like they have the stipples on them, and
Yep.
he likes smooth gloves. Uh, I go back and forth. Like there are some times when I'm like cleaning parts and trying to package parts. I wish I had smooth gloves for that. But when I'm just general work purpose stuff, I like the green gloves a lot. So I'll probably order another box of them and then order something else for Brad and for when I'm cleaning parts.
So I got a question about gloves. Do you wear them because you don't want to get dirty, or are you actually protecting your hands from like coolant or something?
Oh man, you know I'm a dirty machinist. I'm all about getting dirty. No, it's more because I'm going straight from work to home or something like that, and like, I mean, quality chem, like you smell that in your clothes and in your
Yeah.
hands for like hours, even after you take a shower. So it's really just to like keep my home separate from my shop
Yeah.
more than anything, and then also like if I go from like working in the machine a whole bunch and then I'm like, oh, I want to do an Instagram live or oh, I need to do quotes on the computer, I'm not just like quickly trying to wash my hands with like alcohol or something and then going to the computer. Like I can just rip off the gloves and go work on the computer.
Okay. Fair enough.
So it's more just to separate coolant from either electronics or coolant from home more than anything.
That makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So the next one was for both of us, and it's our favorite non machining podcast to listen to.
Probably Joe Rogan.
Okay. I like Joe Rogan too. I think my favorite is a tie between Your Mom's House and Two Bears One Cave.
You were talking about those. I need to look into these.
They are not like informative at all. None of the like some of the interviews are interesting, but like it is just Tom Segura. Like Two Bears One Cave is Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, um, just talking shit for an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Oh, yeah, I know them because Joe always talks to them.
Yeah, they're all big friends. And they all do Sober October together.
Yeah, okay, yep, yep.
And then Your Mom's House is Tom Segura and his wife, and then they have guests on and things like that.
Oh.
And they're just like it's just so funny. Like I listen to them at work a lot of the times, and I have to like stifle my laughter because I'm sitting in a quiet room in engineering and like just trying not to like tear up because I'm laughing so hard. So it's I listen to a lot of like machining podcasts and business podcasts and all of that, but like those are two where every time I see them pop up, I immediately watch them because they just turn around my day and make me laugh so hard. And like I've re-listened to episodes that I found funny, and it's just a really good comedic relief, I guess.
Yeah, just get out of your head.
Yeah.
All right, next
Um,
one.
yeah.
Let's
Next
see.
one was favorite non-machining Instagram to follow.
Ooh, what's yours?
I'm trying to think. So one of them that I like, I'm absolutely in love with his design language and stuff is Discommon on
Okay.
Instagram. Neil, like he does a bunch of stuff with cars and watches and shoes, and like he's made this crazy machined stealth bomber table before. Like they just do really high design stuff that's just super cool. And he used to work at Oakley in their product development division, I think, for years and years. So he's got all these connections and stuff. Actually, shout out to him. He does a lot of his production work in China because he's developed really good relationship with really high end Chinese shops over the years, both working for Oakley and all these other companies. And when this all started, he reached out to his connections because China was just starting to open back up in parts and found a factory that was starting to make N95 masks, and over the last few weeks has organized both with like Boeing and FedEx and like all this logistical nightmare to get stuff out of China. He just imported 1.5 million masks into South Carolina.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so like it came in on that what is it, Dream Carrier, the one that they use
Yep.
to like to move airplane fuselages.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they donated that time or if they paid for part of it or what they did, but like, yeah, he was just on the news and stuff in South Carolina and just brought in like 1.5 million masks, and then I think like a handful of machines that actually make N95 masks,
Oh, that's
and so
cool.
it was like instrumental to doing that, and I really applaud that. Like because I remember him reaching out on his stories and just being like, does anybody know if there's the need? Like, I've got good connections. Should we do this? And then, like, I guess he talked to governors and hospitals and like just went way out of his comfort zone and way out of his job description and did all of this. And it was really cool to see. But I love looking at his design, and it's just really inspiring to see all the stuff that he does.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really follow. I try to not follow too many Instagram accounts because it just limits my time on my phone. If I follow 300 people, that's just a lot of posts that I'd be looking at and spending too much time on my phone. So I try to limit it. But I'd say just, I don't know, some of these hip hop artists I listen to, it's kind of cool to see like the question, non machining stuff. It's just like take your brain off of work for a little microseconds.
Totally. Oh, and actually, I'll throw in another one too. 3D Magic Mike on Instagram. He works for like the Roadster shop, I think, or something like that. And he's been making this crazy twin turbo pickup truck for, I don't know, a few years now, or like a year now. And he 3D prints all of the molds for his carbon fiber and then like covers them in all of the mold release and things like that and sands them to no end and makes all of his carbon fiber that way. Just like absolutely gorgeous design work also. So I feel like a lot of the non-machining ones that I follow are design related and like automotive related.
Yeah.
So,
And
all right.
then next one's same question, but as far as non machining YouTube channel,
Oh, geez. I don't know. Do you have one off the top of your head? I'm going to go look at my subscriptions actually.
yeah, I mean, it'd probably be, I don't know. I really enjoy like with Joe Rogan, like if I can, I'll try to watch the podcast. I think it's cooler to like see people's expressions and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I actually watch Your Mom's House and Two Bears because of the same
Okay.
thing. Oh, actually, so this is one I find it really funny. He's kind of annoying too, but Michael Reeves. I don't know if you've seen any of his videos.
I think I have
He
maybe.
he posts like every, I don't know, every 6 months or something. But he makes really stupid robots. Like if Simone Yetch is like the queen of shitty robots, he's like the queen of, or he's like the king of sociopathic robots.
Okay.
Um, so like he's made like a desk that shocks him, or like his latest one is he was like the Da Vinci robot is garbage. I'm gonna make a better one, and he made this like death machine.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's funny. Like it can definitely be a little gimmicky and a little like full of memes, but it's also pretty funny. I get a good laugh out of it. And then like I'm really big into cooking too, so I follow Bon Appetit, and my girlfriend and I watch a lot of those.
Oh, I guess another one that you always talk about is Smarter Every Day.
Oh yeah, totally. I love Smarter Every Day. Like I've been watching his stuff for a while. Um, I'm trying to look through. Adam Neely's another one. He's a like a music theory major or something from Berkeley, and like I don't understand 60+% of what comes out of his mouth, but he's kind of funny and like he makes really good quality videos.
Let's
And then
see.
this old Tony, I also watch a bunch of his.
I don't know if I don't know how much you're into like tech, but I watch like Unbox Therapy or Mark S. Brownlee.
Oh yeah, I always watch MKBHD. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I really like him too. He's been on YouTube like forever.
Oh yeah.
I love when he shows his early videos where he's like
Yeah.
recording on the webcam of his HP computer.
Yep.
There's like a lot. Like I watch a lot more YouTube than I do TV shows.
Oh yeah, I don't watch any TV.
Yeah, there's like a few that I watch pretty consistently, but for the most part, it's mostly YouTube now. All right, next question: pizza toppings.
Pepperoni and sausage is pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Pepperoni. I'm kind of easy. Like I like most pizzas. I
Yeah,
even like
same.
pineapple on pizza. I know I'm gonna get some hate for that, but I don't mind it at all.
Fair enough. And then
um,
let's see,
Go for it.
Peyton. This for me. Why don't you buy the Lego men? Why not or yeah, why do you buy the Lego men and why not you not just machine a mold and build them yourself? So this is probably a lot of people get confused with this that I make the Lego figures, but I don't. All the Lego parts, like the head, the bodies, and the legs, that's all genuine Lego. And the reason is pretty much all the companies that do similar things, everyone wants genuine Lego. And so it's real Lego parts, and then I do the custom printing on it, or I make custom weapons that go with the Lego system that they've created. Um, and it's just kind of like, if you're buying parts for, like, I don't know what's a good example, like if I restore and make Toyota trucks, like I'm not going to build a Toyota from scratch. Like I'm just going to buy it, I might repaint it and soup it up, and it's, then the Toyota fans will still love it, so
Right. Yeah. Well, and like, there's no way like that is a bread and butter thing of the Lego Corporation, and like
yeah.
their molding process. Absolutely, no offense to you, but it is better than anything that you can achieve right now.
Oh
Like they
yeah.
have what they lose like what 1 part in a million or something like that is their
Oh, I
claim
mean,
to fame.
every year they get the award. They're the most accurate part producer pretty much in the world.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like the economies of scale pretty much dictate that you buy Lego Men. Like you
Yeah.
might be able to make them cheaper, but you definitely won't be able to make them cheaper and better.
Yeah, and I mean it's ridiculous. I mean, people don't realize, like, since all the way back to like the 40s, all these bricks are this, like, they can work together, but they constantly changing the design of them, which just baffles me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's
Oh, and
why.
you skipped over one, which is for to both of us. Is there
Oh,
a lathe in your future, in our futures?
you talked about this really early on in the podcast.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get a lathe. I don't know if it's going to be our next machine or if it's going to be 2 machines from now, but we need a CNC lathe, like 100%.
I mean, I'd love one. Honestly, if it was one, I'd go all out and I'd love a Swiss lathe.
Yeah, I really want like what Nick has with
Yep.
twin turret or twin spindle live tooling y axis. Like that's ideal. But even a 2 axis single spindle lathe would be awesome to have right now. And realistically, we'll probably go that route. Like I see us. I don't know. I guess it's tough to see in the future. Like I didn't think that I'd have a new machine this year.
Yeah.
Thinking like back to the last year, so maybe we'll step into just a brand new lathe. But if we buy a used one, we'll probably do what we did with Mills and buy a cheap 2 axis Japanese, fairly decent quality but older lathe.
Get a little Akuma or a Doosan or something.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like we've got Doosan 2 axis lathes at my day job, and they are just bulletproof.
Oh
Like
yeah.
people have crashed them and they've been abused, and they just still make fantastic parts. So we'll probably end up with something like that, and then work our way into more lathe work that'll require a better lathe.
Yep. Let's
Uh,
see. One for you. Are you ever going to fix your MR2?
yeah, it's fixed, and I've been dailying it for like over a year. I'm actually just up for emissions right now, so it works. Actually, I just had to fix it this last weekend though. I spent most of Saturday fixing it because I failed emissions, but I think I fixed it again, and so I'm going back through. But yeah, it runs, and the biggest thing is kind of preparing for the engine swap that I want to do, which I've got pieces and parts of, just not everything yet.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, it works.
And then
For you, there is an update and a product review on the tool holders you bought for cheap.
so I need time to do this, and I don't have the time. So this will be postponed. But I mentioned to you, I thought it'd be cool to send out and get these tool holders and other ones like name brand ones that are supposedly really good all sent out to like a balancing company or someone that has a balancer and like actually verify some things and like check run out, make like a part that could use the same tool with the same tool holder, cut it, same speeds and feeds and everything, and just look at it. I think it'd be really interesting for some people because I had a lot of people reach out, and I mean, I had a bunch of people that are like, "Yeah, I buy these all the time. I've had no complaints," and I'm just like, "All right, fair enough. Like, okay,
Yeah. I will say though, the one reason I will continue to buy Mari tool, like I had an issue with one of mine where I don't know if it was a surface finish issue or the tool. There's something not quite right where we're getting like a little bit of vibrational rubbing on one of the dual contact faces. And when I saw it at first, like it's not that bad, but like I sent a picture to Brad and he's like, "Well, are you going to tell him?" And I was like, I feel like any other company would just tell me to go pound sand. They'd be like, "Oh, that's rust or something. That's your fault." And like I emailed Maritool and they immediately were like, "Is this your address and is this the part number?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "All right, it's in the mail. There's a return label. Just send it back to us." I was like, "Okay, cool." Like
yeah,
that was easy. So like I think they've got like top notch customer service, and I really like both of the guys there and their whole team. So while I am interested to see how your holders come out, I definitely maybe I'll put them in the other brother, the old man brother.
old man."
All right. So the next question was for both of us, and it was how do you clean the outside of your enclosures of your machine? What product do you use to clean?
Windex, WD-40, whatever works.
um, yeah, I feel like I've used Simple Green on some of them. I try to like if I use Simple Green because it's like a bad stain or something, I'll use Simple Green and then use water or rubbing alcohol or something like that to get off the Simple Green so it doesn't eat the paint. I've used rubbing alcohol too because we have a bunch of it on hand. Like that's how we clean parts. Um, but yeah, I mean, water, soap. We've got some just normal like um, some kind of natural over the counter cleaner that we bought at a grocery store. Um, Nothing specific though.
Okay. All right. Next one. Let's burn through these. After machining, do you rinse off your parts in anything? We wash all our parts in Simple Green before they get to bird, as an example. Um, Kind of depends on the customer. You know, sometimes they're just like, we just need them, like machine them, throw them in a box. They don't really care. Um, at least for me, some of them I know are going out to anodize, and it's kind of a weird situation because a lot of these guys I talk to, and they're like, well, the anodizer will clean them. And I'm like, well, I still don't want to give you like gross parts. So I'll ultrasonic them and soap and water and rinse them off and blow them off and package them. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like I just said, I use alcohol on almost all of our parts that are raw finish that go out, just to degrease them, and then actually, I don't clean anything that goes to my anodized house because they do such a good job of cleaning. And like we've asked them before, and they're like, "Don't bother because we're already going to clean them." Like I make sure that there's no chips on them or anything like that. Like I'm not going to like throw them in the chip bin and then give them a box or something like that. But
yeah,
as far as like rinsing them or ultrasonicing them, they have much better equipment to do that, and they've specifically told us like you don't need to worry about that.
that's good.
So, um, but yeah, we've got a little ultrasonic cleaner that we've used on occasion. Uh, but yeah, for the most part, just rubbing alcohol.
Okay. Next
And
question.
then, yeah, so this is for me, and it's do I like working in the shop alone or do I like having Brad there? I like both. It's really nice on the weekends to hang out with Brad. Like we were friends before we became business partners, so I enjoy working with him, even if like it's me changing out parts or him changing out parts, and the other one of us just sitting there chatting. But it's also nice. Like if I'm having a bad night, the last thing I want, I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, but there's some nights where it's just like I'm so tired and in my head, like I am glad I don't have anybody else here that I would like be abusing otherwise. So
Yeah.
it's a trade off. Like I get to have both, so it's not like I have to choose one or the other. But I definitely like hanging out with Brad. Like we don't get to hang out all that much. I mean, I guess we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, some weekends, but for the most part, I'm at the shop alone.
Okay. Then the next one's also for you. Do you have any sort of buzzer that goes off when someone walks in um, into the shop through the garage door, or do you keep the door closed?
If I'm there during the day, I keep the garage door open and the office door locked, and I can see anybody that walks in the garage door and hear them. If I'm there anytime past like 5 o'clock, I close everything up and lock it.
Yeah.
Just because it's not in it's not like a terrible part of town, but it's definitely not in like a nice part of town either. And like we've had issues with like homeless people sleeping outside the bathrooms that have had to been kicked out and stuff like that. And it's like I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I've actually had what must have been a crackhead wander into the shop one time when I forgot to close the
Oh
garage door.
gosh.
Yeah, he like came in and like at first he looked sort of normal and like then he started talking to me and was like trying to give me this like fake jewelry, saying that his wife kicked him out of the house and like he's just got to get rid of it. And then like I was like, oh man, and at that point I just thought like he was a little eccentric and like maybe just like was another person's customer that had wandered in there. And then he was like talking to me about how he was like in the Air Force and like wanted to make all these plane parts and yada yada. And I was like, man, this guy's a weird guy. And then like as he walked away, he grabbed a rolling chair that was outside my front door, put all his stuff on it, and walked away wearing bicycle clip-on shoes. And
What?
like was talking to himself the whole time. And I was like, oh man, that could have gone way worse. Like I had no idea. Like so, yeah, I keep the door closed. That was a long way to say I keep the door closed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's where it's at. And then next question was for both of us: are your shops air conditioned?
Nope.
Nope. I've got a swamp cooler, a giant 36 or 40-inch fan. I've got air conditioning in the office that now we're in the time of the year where we're keeping it on all the time. But yeah, next shop definitely we want more air conditioned space. I think this summer we might end up buying like a fairly large 12,000 BTU AC unit and then just like putting it on a rolling cart and putting it under the garage door and closing the garage door on it and then putting some foam up next to it just to bring the temperature down a little bit because like we're already I think we hit 100 this week already, so
Oh
it's
jeez.
yeah it's hot. It's 91 right now, so
Dang. I'm
yeah
chilling in the 50s and 60s.
yeah, Friday's supposed to be 104 high, so I'm gonna need that AC ASAP.
Oh god.
um, really under like 105 it's not terrible because it's fairly dry, but when it gets like 105 plus it's just it's so hot, it's so hot even in the shade, even with fans on. It's like being in an oven.
Yeah.
So yeah, no AC unfortunately. My day job is, which is nice. um, all right, next one. Do your significant others ever come and hang out in the shop and watch, or are they interested at all in what you do? He said he's never heard you talk about anyone, so it may not apply.
I guess so. I do have a girlfriend, and sometimes she'll even be sitting quietly while we record these podcasts. Fun fact. Um, but sometimes she'll come and hang out, and sometimes I've even had her run customer parts because she got really interested. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, here, put this in there. There's a torque wrench." And so that was kind of fun. But I mean, they're not. I would say it's safe to say they're not wild and crazy about what I do.
Yeah, my girlfriend, she's come before. Like she has brought me dinner a lot when she knows I'm working late, things like that. And she's very supportive, but I definitely wouldn't say that she's interested at all. She's interested like when I make her things. She's like, "Oh, this is so cool," but she's not like, "How did you make this?" She's just like, "You made me something so nice," you know.
Yeah.
So she's very supportive, but she's not at all interested.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not upset about that at all. Like I remember the first time we ever had an issue with my company. It was when the Kittimer the first time went down and the control board was not responding. We had to send it out for repair. We ended up going to Brad's day job, I think, at night to run parts because we had an order due like the next day, and we were there till 3 or 4 a.m. And like at 10:30 or something like that, she brought us dinner. So like she's done super cool stuff like that, but she's not. Yeah, she's not interested at all.
Fair enough.
All right, this one's for you. Would a different brand of UV printer fix the problems you're having, or is the problem just the UV printing method in general?
I would say it's just UV printing in general. It's very hard on parts. The ink just kills plastic of any kind, just kind of like coolant does. And I don't know. It's just kind of an expensive process from what I found.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I saw that you got your white working.
Yeah,
You
I'm
posted it on
I'm
your
back
story.
up in printing, so that's great. It's just now it's like the clock is ticking for when do I have to replace this part next. So I'm trying to print as much as I can.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense.
And
Is
then
it worth having one on hand?
it's hard to say. I feel like maybe when it starts to get to that 6 months, I might order one from now on just to have. Um, but I mean, a couple days turnaround normally that's not an issue.
Yeah. Oh, that's good then. Yeah, as long as they have good stock in the U.S., I mean, that's what matters.
Yeah. And then next question for you: do you like your Brown and Sharp CMM, or would you buy something different?
So I love our Brown and Sharp CMM. There is no way I could ever buy anything for the price that we paid for it. So I'm not at all regretting it. I work with like top of the line auto CMMs at my day job, and like I would absolutely love one of those. Like we don't have the quality control, not quality control. We don't have the like air control to support one of those. Like it needs to be vibrational, uh, not resistant concrete, but like it needs to be away from all vibrations. It needs to be in like a humidity and temperature controlled room. There's like all of these stipulations for a really high end CMM like that. But like it's so cool having an auto CMM. Like I would absolutely love one in the future, but it's more expensive than buying a new machine. So we'll see. I got my Brown and Sharp CMM for more or less the cost of a plane ticket in a U-Haul. So I don't know if I've ever spoken about that on the podcast.
What, the CMM or what you paid for it?
The what I paid for it or like how I got it.
Uh-uh.
So and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for this, but I got it for $100.
Whoa.
Like it ended up costing us, I think, $1,200 total because. So what happened is this guy posted it on the machinist Facebook group at like 6:30 in the morning, um, just for some random weekday, and was like, "Hey, first $100 takes it. I've tried to sell it on Craigslist and all these other sites, and I've had no luck. So first $100 takes it." And I like immediately messaged him and was like, "I'll take it." He was like, okay. I'm in Colorado. You need to be up here by Friday to get it. And I was like, oh, okay. And so like Brad and I talked about it, and we're like, oh, I don't know if we want to do it, blah blah blah. And like we ended up just being like, no, this is a good way to move forward with the company. Like we both want something more accurate to check parts. And so we bought him a ticket. He flew up on a Friday morning, rented a U-Haul, bought like ratchet straps and stuff, went over to the place. They helped him load it with a forklift. He ratcheted it down and then drove it back overnight and showed up like mid Saturday with it.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it was like a whirlwind of a week. But yeah, it was one of those like deals of a lifetime kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no way I could buy anything different for that kind of money. But I would love. I don't know if I would want another. Well, you can't really buy a manual CMM anymore. Like you can buy PCDMS retrofits for CMMs. We have a retrofit on like the very similar Brown and Sharp model at my day job. Two of them from. I can't remember who makes the retrofit, but it works really well. I think it is more powerful than the reflex box that comes on the Brown and Sharp. But the reflex box is just so dead simple. Like I trained Brad how to use it in like 30 minutes or something like that. Like it's just so easy to understand. So we'll keep it trucking along. My old boss actually found a guy who repairs them still. So if I can repair it for not too expensive, I think the retrofits are like between 6 and 8K. So if I can avoid paying that for as long as I can, then I will. And we'll just keep trucking along with what we got.
Makes sense. Next question: favorite brand of calipers, Mike's? Metatoyu.
Yeah, Minotaur.
Uh,
Like no doubt. As far as indicators, I'm all about Interrapid. I've used all of them. I think Interrapid's the best.
Fair enough. Next one's also digital or dial readout for measuring tools. I like both.
Digital. I I don't want to waste my time anymore with
Yeah,
dial. Like I have dial stuff at home, like stuff that I bought when I first started my machining career that I've replaced with digital stuff. But there's no when you're making again, it's just like optimizing my time. Like yes, it might only be saving me like a half a second reading a digital versus like reading a dial, but
those add up.
yeah, I'm making like 40,000 measurements a year at half a second a piece. Like that's a lot of time.
Yeah,
So and there's no misreading. Like the only thing you can do is like miss zero one or have one that's on the fritz. But like there's no misreading it unless you're like dyslexic or something. Like if you can read normally, you can read a digital and read it like it's not against anybody that has dyslexia. It's just like it's there.
the
I have
number's
seen
there.
people. Yeah, I have seen people misread mics 100 thou off, or
Oh,
I've
for
seen people
sure.
misread calipers 100 thou off before. I've never seen anybody do that with a digital. So yeah, digital 100%.
And then,
Uh,
if you sold your kitty and bought another new brother, would you have to move to another building, or do you have the power to run all the machines in the current spot?
mm, Technically, we would have to move. Like if you add up all of the max amperages on all the machines, we'd have to move. But I've known quite a few people that have run two brothers on a 30 amp circuit before, and they've been completely happy. So, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, find out when you get
um,
there.
yeah, like we're definitely selling the kitty regardless, and we'll have two brothers, and those will both be able to run, and our compressor run 100%, and we'd be fine. As far as adding a third machine, at that point, we'll probably want to move anyway, just for space. But yeah, we'd have to see. All right, and then the last two rapid fire. Both of us. How do you like your steak cooked?
Well done, dead as dirt.
Medium rare.
God.
And then the crushed ice or cubed ice?
Crushed.
Crushed.
There we go.
All right. Well, thanks, Andy. Appreciate the list of questions and all of that. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I
All
mean,
righty.
I got nothing else.
No, I don't either. Just keep kicking ass, man, and we'll just kind of have to see where we go.
Yeah. And then,
This next week.
I mean, no one's gonna see this or listen to this before it's too late because this will go up tomorrow and this will go up probably as we're talking to Jay. But that's gonna be cool. So I'm excited for all you guys to listen to that conversation as well.
Oh yeah, and then next week we have Sunny Hahn, who is the CEO and founder of Fulcrum Pro. And a lot of you guys might not know the name, but it is an up and coming ERP system that's all web based and uses a lot of machine learning. And he reached out to us and wanted to kind of chat about the program. And I did a call with them and spoke with him a little bit. And he's worked for a lot of the big names, Job Boss and things like that, or worked with those over the years. So he's got a really good insight, and he'll be a great deep dive into ERP. So if you guys are thinking about ERPs or you have questions about ERP systems or quoting systems, Fulcrum Pro, definitely check it out. And we come up with some questions for him. We'll definitely have some questions for him because I'm starting to look into ERPs, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him because he was even in our video call. I was like, man, I wish I had kind of, or not video call, but our Zoom call. I was like, man, I wish I had kind of recorded this because he speaks really really well. Like he's so intelligent about what he knows about all this stuff, and so I think it's going to be a great episode for everybody.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to him.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening as always. Keep plugging us on social media and all that. I think we're coming up to a year pretty shortly, so we're gonna have to do something special, I think.
Yeah, giveaway
And
or something like we mentioned.
yeah, definitely. And Yeah, thanks guys again. Have a great night.
All right, see you guys.